Okay, so good morning, everyone. We can have little energy. I believe this is the first session. We are here. We should be here. Good morning, everyone. That's much better. Okay, so the topic today that we have is reimagining the future of retail powered by digital. Now I was discussing with my fellow members that it's quite a exhaustive open topic, so we might spend up entire day talking on this. But what I will want to do is that, to keep it concise, what I would recommend that, we'll start with a quick introduction starting from Deepali, and we talk about one area, as we finish our introduction, that we believe is going to reshape, the digital is going to reshape the way retail works in short term and one in long term. So we'll just take it that way. So what do you see in immediate future? How do you think the digital technologies are going to change or reshape the experience or the way we work? And what is the long-term perspective you believe it's going to change? So we can start with that, and then we pick up other topics as we go through it.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Deepali. I'm working with Marks & Spencer, which is a leading fashion brand having presence both online as well as offline. And I'm heading e-commerce technology for Marks & Spencer. Coming to customer experience and reimagining the future of retail. So retail is not about point of sales anymore. It's about point of experience, where we need to focus on customer journeys. Post-pandemic era, customers used to come to stores, have that physical interactions, needed that one-on-one assistance. However, now customers have started stepping outside, whereas they don't need that much human interactions. They want that assistance in their private space, in their personal space. So in terms of short term, we need to focus on what is it that we can improve with respect to customer experience, how assistance, whether it's offline or online, we can provide to customers. For example, let's say I visit any store, I saw a product which is on the mannequin, and let's say I want to know about what that brand has to offer in that particular article. What are the other variations in that article? I can simply scan the QR code, go to mobile app, scan the QR code, go to the product detail page, and directly read about the articles. What is the fabric type? What all details are there? So that kind of experience we need to build for a customer, that, and we need to understand that psychology, that they don't want that much of human interaction anymore. So that is in terms of short term that we should aim at to understand our customers. And with respect to long term as well, it's more about understanding the psychology of the customers, understanding the customer journeys, improvising the customer journey with the seamless experience and simplification of those user journeys. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sanjay, and I work with a bestseller and designated as a CDIO. Getting on to the topic you started, Sandeep, what is something which is defining retail in the present context, and probably how the retail would be impacted with the advent of something let's say metaverse, right? Blockchain, or for that matter XR, AR, VR combined with the experiences what customer is getting. So if I look at it, I think well summed up by Deepali, that customer is looking for that experience, and how to floor customer by giving him the experience, and customer is ever demanding as of now. Customer would expect the best what he has experienced last out of you always. So if he has been to a, let's say, Decathlon store where there is a checkout without getting into the queue, if he gets into the store, probably the same expectation. If your customer has gone to Amazon Go store where it is a frictionless, you buy everything and then it gets billed to your cart, right? It gets billed to your card. If he has that experience, he would expect the similar experience when he comes into your store, or for that matter, website. So the experience is the key. I mean, how to provide that seamless experience at every touch point. Be it a store, be it online, be it let's say social commerce, WhatsApp commerce, how to get that, a true omni-channel, or how to give that, frictionless experience is something what is the demand for today. And it is not something nice to have, good to have. It is getting into a zone where it is must to have. If you don't have it, probably, you lose out on your customers. Then, trending technologies. We are talking about physical fashion, but now there is a lot of buzz around, digital fashion. So if you look at the whole, virtual market, right? The market size across the world, 30% of that, the virtual goods which is being procured is coming out of fashion. So the fashion, 30%, which is a sizable share. It may not be the immediate need of being in India, but if it has 30% of the sizable share, where the Gen Zs and the millennials of the world, they want to dress up in a metaverse kind of a scenario, and then get into a gaming zone, get into a party with the digital attire. I think how to prepare ourselves. It may not be needed today, but then going forward, how to have that technology set up so that we are prepared for tomorrow. I think other trend which I personally see is the sustainability. There is a lot of buzz and there is a lot of noise, and at least with the younger generation, they want to be associated with the companies or the brands who are actively participating in those initiative where talking about sustainability right from the inception. That is the cotton to the process, basically how the complete garment is made. So the sustainability is a big thing, and we cannot ignore it.
Right, yeah, sustainability I agree, but just to be in the context, we're talking more about digital, so let's focus digitally how we're going to reshape the experience. Sustainability, of course, is a big agenda. In India, we don't hear much about it, but globally, even, I'm regularly hearing that investments in startup are also governed by ESG agenda these days. So not even enterprises, startups are also going through this journey. So I'm just trying to a little bit of context setting that let's imagine 10 years ago when there was the broadband speed was not that much, technologies were not there, e-commerce was not there. But 10 years hence, it's consumer experience, it's completely different what we would have imagined 10 years ago. So I would request my fellow panelists to focus on an extreme imagination that you would think that after 10 years what it would be like. Metaverse, is metaverse going to be the next e-commerce? Or maybe there is going to be something that today we can't imagine because technologies may not be there, or technologies may be at a very nascent stage, but companies are still working towards that. So let's focus on those things as well.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ashish. I head digital transformation and e-commerce for Hero Motors company. Worked with Reliance, Godrej. If I think about short term, what people are expecting from technology, I think everyone is expecting ROI now. In the past, maybe 10 years, I have seen everyone has invested huge in terms of technology, in terms of really putting teams together. But right now, the focus is on technology. So people talk about personalization, data-driven interventions, but how these interventions change the life of the customer and make the balance sheets more healthier. I think short term, I think technology has to deliver on the promise. If I think from a long-term perspective, the biggest friction still today in the market is that human interface, the sales assistance, whole concept of actually someone helping you in the physical store and helping into buying that. So that entire experience about social commerce, that has to come live in future. Because if I really talk to a bot, it looks like a bot. The day will come when the bot will actually really start interacting like a human. So that will be maybe in the future, because everyone is looking for those sort of solutions. When I think why people don't buy digitally. So always the questions are, oh, I want to actually know about this. I want to know, oh, my child is like this. Will this cycle actually work for me? Or this piece of furniture work to me? So human and machine interface will be much smoother, and maybe at one point of time, the concept of metaverse, where there is no difference between virtual and real world, will actually take shape and deliver the promise. Apart from that, I think there are certain technologies, at least I am very hopeful about seeing good use cases in future, especially about AR and VR. I can tell you 4 years back also when Nike actually entered into this market. So the whole concept of places where the AR is actually helping customer in deciding what sort of pieces should go into the house. That technology still is at a very nascent stage. I think it will be really fabulous to see you can create your own home without actually creating it in physical world. I think those sort of technology will take shape and will define the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Ashish. Okay, good morning, everyone. See, let's first talk about what does short-term, long-term mean. What was the meaning of a generation 20, 30 years ago? What do you think? Back in the 80s, a generation meant 10, 15 years, right? From first generation to next generation, it's 10 to 15 years. How much is it now? 3, 5 years? I heard somebody say that. 100% correct. Why is that? It's because the speed of change has never been this fast. Ever. And it will never be this slow again. The speed of change is so fast. And I think that's why it's important to understand how retailers, or any corporate business for that matter, has to move at the speed of consumer. Because the consumer is not the same person who will walk in the store, look at the shelf, buy a product. Now they do what you call a showrooming. They do their research at home. Then on their way to the store, they probably look up on their phone. Then they look at and ask questions at the store. On their way back home, they probably complete the shopping. The whole journey is across multiple channels. That's why omni-channel becomes important. Today, that's the expectation today. Those are the table stakes, guys, right? What does long-term mean? Now we can talk about metaverse. Yeah, we can talk about NFTs, best gifts from a marketing standpoint. We can talk about all that. But those to me are all use cases. What is the reality on the ground today? Right? Today there are companies who are still struggling with Excel spreadsheets. By the way, before I go any further, my name is Ashish Chandra. I am Chief Digital and Technology Officer at The Body Shop. Body Shop is a UK-based cosmetic retailer. I have just moved to India after about 20 years in the US. I was Global CTO at Tata Consultancy Services based in Santa Clara prior to joining Body Shop, which was just about 6 months back. And prior to that, I was Vice President of IT, doing digital transformation at Sears Holdings Group, which is a Chicago-based company. They were once very popular with their Sears Tower, the tallest building in the world. And I've had 2 startups in Silicon Valley, both of them in big data space, and have 11 patents in AI ML space. So coming back to the near tech and the long-term tech, right? Consumer experience, that to me is the topmost priority for any retailer right now, because you want to make sure that there's personalization. Those days are gone when you can do your data analytics and do customer segmentation based on demographics or different other factors. Today, it's the customer segmentation of one. That's hyper-personalization. Consumers expect you to provide them custom-tailored promotions and offers that they want. That is what the expectation says. Again, table stakes. So how do we use our systems today to ensure that we are meeting the expectations? And how do we make sure we set ourselves up for future? Future could be anything. 8 years down the line, it could be, again, doing NFTs in metaverse. To me, more likely use case than that would be, how do I use my data to start doing at least some level of analytics? It could be predictive analytics, and then we can do prescriptive analytics, then we can go with advanced analytics. Once we start doing advanced analytics, we can look into how can we use some of the use cases from our data lakes into AR, VR. Because that's coming. Not today, but it will be at a scale. Again, it goes into what is the impact from the business, guys, right? Ultimately, if I'm going to look at my business impact, how much of my revenue is going to come from AR, VR? And which tier cities? If I put my business in Indian context, it's all about retail in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. How do I scale my business? How do I make sure my 1% top customers or loyal customers are being taken care of? We just launched a new loyalty program at The Body Shop. And we went from a gift voucher-based loyalty program over to points-based program. We talked about sustainability just now. How can you marry digital with sustainability? We did. You know what we did? We said, Guys, just like airline points, you get to shop for products that you like to buy. And if you do these things, we'll give you 2x points, like airlines. If you buy at this and this time, we'll give you 3x points. Oh, by the way, you walk in the store, you have a plastic bottle or something empty, which is healthy for the environment and the planet, we'll give you 2x points just to return those plastic bottles or not to use plastic. So there are reward systems built in for sustainability through digital. So those are some of the things you can do for your corporations, for your customers to make sure you do that. There's, of course, going back to the question, I believe that the focus for now should be continue consumer experience as a key guiding principle in the light. That should be a lighthouse. That should go on. But while you're doing that, make sure you're also investing or doing experimentations with newer technologies that go all the way from segmentation to personalization into doing AR, VR for customer experience, taking as a guideline, and then experiment a little bit with blockchain, metaverse as well. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Ravi Huda. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Raymond. Just a single line to explain my job. My job is to digitize the complete man. That's what I do. Coming to the question, actually, it's very, very interesting, and I'll just try and stick to what you said, because let's define it in two ways. One is, like Ashish said, a generation. What is short term, next 3 years? It's critical, everybody said the same thing, and I won't take much time, but it's critical to understand what is consumer experience at store or at home, because retail and commerce is all about whether it's being digitally on your D2C platform or coming at your store. You want the same experience for a consumer to happen and experience there. So how do you understand consumer behavior shifts? And that's where, Ashish spoke about to the segmentation, to the score of 1, that everybody is personalized to a level that everybody is individually different. Our organizations today, and I can speak for Raymond, matured enough to do that? Answer is no, it's always an evolving journey. Clearly, responsibility and sustainability on short term, I can say, and we have started measuring is, you start doing these loyalty programs and these relay of messages all out there. I mean, think of us. I mean, we run a decent sized loyalty program at Raymond, 97-year-old company, and it's been adding customers, 10 million plus CRM base right now. But I can't go and start blasting 10 million messages for each and offer out there, not from a point of view of success rate, but from a sense of responsibility that each SMS is going to cost some kind of power consumption in some place, which is going to have an impact on sustainability. So I think that's how it gets tied up. But coming back to the consumer behavior, I think it's technologies such as, for example, knowing what my consumer do beyond just retailing with me. And things like, the CDP, which is the next stage and evolution of knowing your customers beyond the experience or transaction you do. How do we use that better to service the consumers better, understand, make their cohorts, and probably target them better? I think this is going to be very, very relevant to understand data, changing behaviors. E-commerce integration into retail, omni-commerce, digital commerce, combined commerce is going to become very, very impactful in the next 3 years or a generation, like Ashish said, primarily from a point of view that stores are going to also become a fulfillment center. These stores are not just going to be confined to the areas that they've been set up and service the consumers or the areas around. They also have to become and act as a fulfillment center. And that gets you the strength in terms of saying that your digital reach is far more with maybe lesser number of stores, or ability to service consumers and create an impact is there. So how do your technology enables you to probably do hyper-local far better? And it varies from retailer to retailer. FMCG is a very different game on hyperlocal. Fashion is much more different. And if I go even in fashion, what dominant size or significant size of our business, which is fabric and tailoring, is even more challenging because the value chain becomes different. So all of us will probably evolve consumer experiences on this side. Now, if I switch gears and go to the long term, and you literally try and reimagine what's going to be the future out there, and I think there are a lot of great words, and I call them abused words, and metaverse and NFTs, but that's going to be a reality, right? I mean, like it or not, if consumer behavior shift is going to happen because consumers ends up adopting technology which makes them lazier. I mean, the best way of adoption of technology, I always say, anything which makes us lazier on doing something which can be done at ease is going to get work. Now, is it going to be important to create a human-to-human interface in real world and metaverse? Clearly, there are use cases in that's going to build up. But even technologies like, say, for example, blockchain, it's going to significantly change the way today we engage with our consumers. And just to give you a use case example, at least we are piloting right now for us. We sell our products from roughly company stores, roughly around 1,500 odd company stores. And clearly our ability to get consumer information from those stores through any format, whether you use AI analytics through these video cameras which are out there, your POS, your loyalty, post-purchase, NPS through WhatsApp is phenomenal, right? Very rich data, but that's only roughly probably translates to around 25% of the business that we do. There's 75% of the business that we are doing from the retail's multi-brand outlet where we don't control any of this information. Now, what can you do with your products when you probably start shipping them out and create a consumer to probably act on your product? And just to take a simple example, if all the product or that goes out with a simple thing of a QR code, but every time a product gets shipped out, there's a block which is created and companies start running their own private blockchains on this. Now, anywhere a consumer benefit, whether it passes to multi-layer or from distributor to the next tier to the final retailer, their benefits are tied to it, that they probably start scaling and get their benefit that it's gone to them. So if you want to run retail schemes or trade schemes, distribution schemes, you do that. But at the last mile, you also get consumers to say, hey, you scan it and you get certain benefit, or you get certain genuinity, all of it, for them to adopt. Now, this requires a behavior shift. How do you expect somebody to pick up a shirt and scan a QR code, right? But you'll have to find ways to do this. And that happens because you run a blockchain behind and you go from a block on change of ownership right from company to various distributors to the last mile out there. And then if you change this behavior, loyalty changes significantly. Because right now I run loyalty in 1,500 stores. Boom, I run loyalty in 20,000 stores, whether I control them or not. Because the consumer is scanning and I'm getting certain information, he's getting some benefit and engaging. So I think some of these things are going to be imagined, thought through, but adoption and migration is a function of, how easy do we make it for a consumer to adopt and experience them over a period of time. And I think that's going to be the key, as I see, in terms of both short-term and long-term. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So, one common thing which is coming up is that consumer experience is going to be the key, and we will be using all digital technologies that are at our disposal to, possibly enhance that consumer experience. Now, my question is that will everyone want this? I'll just give an example. About 20 years ago, when I first went into US, I was standing at Walmart or Costco, I don't remember exactly. And there was one customer in front of me with 10 odd things, and long time it took to scan. And then the cashier, the teller said that $130. That customer took out a checkbook and started writing a check on the counter. And I was waiting, I said, what is this check and all that? So then I realized in US, I don't know what's the situation today, but that time you could write a check and give it to the counter, and people were patient, and I was standing with a debit card and a pin, and you could also withdraw money from a retailer. So I can give a debit card, my bill is $80, $20 I want to withdraw as cash, so $100 will be deducted from my debit card. So two extremes. One is that you can withdraw cash, which is not a possibility in India today, although there are some discussions going on. At a retailer, you can withdraw cash as well from your bank account in a same transaction where you pay, and at the same time, somebody is writing a physical check which will get credited to retailer after 2 days. And same applies to a lot of industries today, banking. So a lot of people want to just go to ATM and withdraw money. Some people will purposely go to the branch and want to talk to people and then withdraw money and do other discussions. Similarly, when we go to a retail store, some people want assistance, some people want assistance only when they require. And some people don't want any assistance. They exactly know where to pick up what they want. They can figure out the details of the product online or from the labels, and they just want to quickly check out. So all our consumers may have different expectations, and some of them will be powered by digital. Some of them, all of them, let's say, will be powered by digital, but maybe in a different way. So, Ashish, if you could just tell me, we'll start with you and then Ashish from Body Shop, that what do you think about this, that consumer experience cannot be uniform. So, how do you, cater to different experiences?
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's a really good point. Costco is joked around as a place where you go for not shopping. You go there to spend the evening. You have to stand in lines. Every one of them is going to take too long to do it. And they specialize in that. That's why they sell so much in bulk. It's a bulk warehouse format. And you're right, there is so much extreme. People can use their checks, and usually elderly generation does that a lot more as compared to a newer generation. But they can also use their debit cards to draw cash. And if you think about it, it's not so different in India. Now, we are just looking at tier 1. If you look at tier 4 or tier 3, do you expect those guys to have a debit card and withdraw cash? I mean, they are going to be the other extreme. I was having a nice chat with the CEO of Policy Bazaar, right? A lot of people, we are a retail group here, so we don't talk about insurance, but ultimately every company has to become a tech company also, no matter which business you are in. Do you think Tesla is an automobile industry? It's not, it's a tech company. Apple is a tech company. Whichever company is innovating, because that's the only way to survive in future, you really have to incorporate tech in your systems. Now, when I was talking to Sarbir Singh, who is the CEO of Policy Bazaar, he expressed to me how much the spectrum is in India from customer segmentation. And we touched on the topic of customer segmentation of one, hyper-personalization. Every customer individual is different. Some of them might say, hey, I'm the kind of person who likes to do my own research. Don't keep calling me. I hate it. Otherwise, I will never come to your website again. I will make sure my family and friends never come to your website either. Don't call me, right? There are some who says, you know what, I don't know much about all this stuff. Just tell me which is the best policy for my family. There's all different kind of people, and there are different expectations. So how does a system know who you are? Now, system could know who you are by looking at your purchase history, by looking at your behavior, by looking at all the information a system can gather about you. Now, there are some privacy laws which are being worked on, but I think from corporation standpoint, it will work itself out. I believe that. There are ways to work around the privacy laws without exposing the consumer too much. I believe that the hyper-personalization is the need of the hour, to your point, because consumer expects that I don't want to be overwhelmed with messages, and the retailer should be smart enough to know when to back off. Otherwise, some customers may just get really annoyed and just take a pledge to never shop there again. So goes back to the point of customer segmentation, goes back to the point of hyper-personalization, and making sure that if a consumer wants to shop something, there are programs that I talked about 5 years ago, that a customer walks into a store, let's say Starbucks for coffee, and if he's a regular shopper at Marks & Spencer's, Marks & Spencer should be able to look at the GPS tracking data and find out, oh, you are my customer. You used to shop here regularly. You used to walk into my store once a month, but you haven't been here in the last 6 months. Guess what? Since you are in the neighborhood, I have a special promotion just for you, just for now, for the special product that you like so much. And by the way, I know you're the experimental kind of person. I know you're the exclusive kind of person who likes to get exclusive stuff. So we have released a product on a limited basis. Only for you, only for now. Nobody else in the world has it. Just walk in the store. So those programs are existing today by companies who are doing it. I think that's where we, as an industry, has to mature and go towards by deploying those use cases. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that does answer my question. And my next question, continuing in the same, vein, Deepali, if you would want to speak about the customers, because I believe, you cater to a wide age groups, if I may use the term of customers, because you have something for every, age group. So how do you see that this, the experiences, on the digital front particularly, because there it's more easy to track the behavior. But if you, want to add anything on the physical front as well, any data that you have, it will be useful. But digital, how do you think that, you see the consumer behaving, people spending a lot of time and then buying nothing, doing just research, anything, any data points that come to your mind, how do you address your customers in terms of not only, while they're on the website, but using the data analytics, how do you approach them or target them?
Okay. Yes, so that's rightly said. Marks & Spencer offer a varied range for all the age groups, including kids, women category, men category, and everything. So, but we need to understand who our shoppers are. Definitely, kids will not walk into a store and shop for themselves. It's the either their moms, their sisters, or someone who will walk into the stores and will shop for them, of their kids, or for anyone they want to gift to, or maybe sometimes for their spouses as well. So coming on to, it's easier to track in digital world with the help of analytics. We need to understand, we need to track the customer retention analytics. Those metrics we need to capture. And like Ashish, you mentioned that we need to understand who all are the shoppers who have not shopped in last 6 months or last 3 months. We really need to focus on those customers as well. Because eventually what we do is we end up building a lot of solutions, we end up building a lot of technology, and we forgot about customers who were loyal to our brand, but never shopped in some duration of time. So with respect to offline stores, maybe we can track footfalls with the help of digital technology. But at the same time, technology has various roles to play. Currently, if you go, you have self-checkout kiosks. People are curious to try out those options. However, still, there will be certain people walking into the store who might not be well-versed. So again, there will be some instructions, some assistance that will be required to enable those customers to try out self-checkout kiosks. And maybe in future, then they can eventually do it there on their own. So those kind of kiosks, those kind of setups, similarly to the product range. Eventually in retail stores, you can't offer all the product range, right? We have real estate space limitations as well. So endless aisle could be one possible option that can be placed in retail stores. So where user can explore all the varied options. Because sometimes what happens is, even if brand is ready to invest in the real estate, but is the option available? So that floor space, that product launch, and the timing from product launch till getting that product available on each and every store across India, that also takes time. So eventually we need to be very effective while utilizing that floor space, and where that data comes into picture, and we need to segment the customers that, okay, in this particular area, what is the product that is being sold most, what is the range that is being preferred by customers, and that is how the space and in physical stores can be effectively utilized, considering those metrics. Whereas in online, it's definitely very easier to track. We need to collect more and more data points with respect to customer retention, like who shopped, and have we ever noticed, like with respect to brand engagement, how many customers really purchased with us and come again to the website or rated the products, depending on the experience. So it's not just about feel-good experience on the store or on the website or app or any channel for that matter. It's end-to-end from customer acquisition till customer retention, till the post-shopping experience that we need to focus on.
Okay, got it, good. So now I'll shift to slightly controversial topic. Do we have any CFOs or finance heads or finance controllers in the audience? Anybody from finance domain? Okay, good. So we'll not have a lot of debate here. Okay, so see, when we talk about investing in futuristic technologies, Ashish from Hero Cycles, you rightly said that there has to be an ROI, and that's what people are looking for. But let's say today we talk about blockchain, metaverse. Okay, you can buy a piece of land in digital world at various rates, but let's say technologies like blockchain, and which may not have a very good use case presently for retailers, for a broad use, but such technologies where we believe we, as a CDIOs and CIOs, we come to ReTechCon, we learn a lot of technologies, and we are very excited to go back and implement those. We want big budgets, and we go to CFO and we present just the possibilities, but ROI is really difficult. But we all know that during COVID, a lot of companies realized had they invested in e-commerce, they would have been much better. So what do we do now? How do we adopt these futuristic technologies ahead of the time, so that we are not doing the catch-up game? Because a lot of times we do catch-up game, which is fine, because somebody has done it, you can just copy paste. But really, the companies like Amazon, Airbnb, they are shaping the consumer experience, and others are just following up. But as a excuse me, as head of technology, how do you think, you would want to put up proposals of futuristic technology, which may not have a ROI at the present, but you strongly believe, it should be done because else we will lose out?
I mean, look, there are two parts actually. So one is, if you really see, there is a customer side of the technology, and second is a technology side of the technology. So what happens many a time, actually invest in technologies which are far ahead and maybe not actually good from an ROI perspective. I mean, most of the organizations I worked with, in fact, taking cue from Ashish, I think we developed a call center when we started grocery commerce in Reliance Retail. So the entire experience, we want to make it hyper-personalized. At that point of time in 2014, the entire business which was coming, 65% of the business was call center commerce-based grocery. So we built a layer that the moment actually call come, based on the past historical data, loyalty data, we can tell which rice customer is buying typically. So the moment actually a call center agent will say, oh, you want to buy, okay, that Dawat rice, then the experience is far, far better. And for that, we invested in technology. So that was short-term, quick gain sort of thing. There are future technologies like, say, for an AR perspective. We invested in AR actually. AR typically gives returns in maybe 3 to 5 years because people also need to actually understand and devices need to be better. Network capabilities need to improve. So whenever, at least the way I think is like the investment has to be thought from two lenses. One, is it making sense for my customer, or is it actually a piece of technology which is like maybe a piece of technology which is just like more futuristic. So if you think from customer perspective, then probably the ROI may be 3 years or 5 years down the line, which is okay. But still your customer will benefit from it. Most of the time what happens actually, I mean, technology start actually defining what your customer want. I believe that it should be always the other way around. The customer should be the focus, because if I really think about what Amazon offers today, Amazon offers convenience, great choice. I think that is consistent from past 20 years and will be consistent from another, I mean, till the time customers are. So we need to think from that lens, and if it justify, I mean, most of the good organizations actually invest ahead of time.
Okay. Ravi, how about you? Yeah.
On this too. See, I'll play the role of a CFO here for a minute. And I work very closely with CFO, obviously. So I like to, just as Ashish mentioned, really segregate experimentation. So I've got two types of technology initiatives that do not have ROI, because we're talking about ROI. Let's talk about big data project. How do you justify ROI of implementing a data lake and an enterprise data warehouse which has data marts in there for customer segmentation? Show me the ROI with soft and hard ROI numbers. That will be a difficult conversation with the CFO, because I don't really have a hard ROI by numbers, facts that will show me EBITDA savings or impact on working capital, and all those things I will not be able to show in terms of revenue growth. Those are not hard numbers I can show from big data standpoint. To a greater extent, I can create theories and hypotheses, and I can do that, and I know it's the right thing to do. That's where the education comes into place. That's where the CEO and CXOs have to educate each other to make sure there is value in investing in data for customer personalization, customer experience. That's one example. Let's talk about another example of exciting shiny ball projects. This is the golden shiny ball that everybody is talking about, that everybody wants to run after. They want to experiment with it. They want to play with it. Then I am with the CFO. I'm going to say focus on business. You're a businessman first, technology second. If you want to play with experiments or toys, build them in your home. Or we'll do one thing, we'll have an innovation lab for you, try some experiments along with some business impactful things. Because see, one of the big reasons why innovation labs fails in organizations, I'm not talking about just India, I'm talking about globally. Innovation labs fail a lot. Companies try to do innovation, they recognize innovation is important for them. It's very important for them, for every organization to survive. But discipline is more important than that. If you continue doing experimentation on things that have no business value, imagine, I want to create the fanciest robot in the world because creating robots is the fancy thing to do. The question is, how is that going to help me sell more jeans? If it adds no value to my business, then it's a pet project. How do I stay away from it? So I think that question from CFO is a genuine question, that how are you adding value to my business by doing these fancy shiny ball, chasing after shiny ball projects, as compared to the other argument of projects like big data that have a genuine value for the company that CFO might not understand because he's a numbers guy. He's going to look at the EBITDA, he's going to look at my revenue growth, profit margins, that he should be looking at. How do I convince him on those? So I think both these conversations are valid from that perspective.
Right. My question, fair point. As long as we are able to distinguish very clearly that this is going to result into soft or hard ROI and this is just a shiny ball project, I think we are home. But usually, if we have a conviction that, let's assume a lot of companies may have wanted to do e-commerce 5 years ago, but they didn't do because of these questions. But they believed that it would result into ROI, not because they believed that something like COVID would happen, but they believe eventually world is moving there. So from that perspective, because there is no ROI at the present, your customers are not coming online, but you believe that you have a strong case, but you want to pursue it. So how do you kind of coach your CXOs or your CEO or CFO that maybe set up small amount where you don't question the ROI? That could be one way. But other way could be that if we don't experiment, if we don't innovate, we are not going to be the leader. We are just going to be the trend follower. So from that perspective, how do we take up this conversation as a part of our annual budgeting exercises or allocation of funds to innovation, where we just play a bet? It could be a small amount, but do we allow that culture of not asking of ROI for a small amount set aside for innovation? Is that the point?
I think I'd like to answer that for just a second. Here's what I do. Maybe it'll help you. So I think it's important from a CXO standpoint to have a budget allocated for innovation. I can do whatever I want with it. And that's the trust you have to gain over time. But there are experiments I want to do with my teams on things that I don't want to have to justify ROI for. It's a limited budget, but it's something that I have it. I think everybody should strive to have that budget. It might start with very small number, and it might grow with time. But that comes with trust, number one. Number two, I think the innovation obviously is crucial, and we have to make sure that the ROI is there. I think you brought up something that I wanted to highlight. It's slipped. Besides the budget, it slipped. That's it.
I'll just try and take a jab at this, okay? So I think interesting what we do, and I come from an organization which is extremely legacy, 97 years, believed in manufacturing, believed in supply side of economy, because what we make will get sold, to a transition that this organization has done to a demand side economy. And with that transition, I think the important factor when you do the annual budgeting exercise, and that's what we follow actually very simply, is we set up a section of of our AOP budget where we come and talk about saying what will disrupt us. And if you ask that question, and that's a culture thing, it's not just a digital guy thing, it's a CEO thing, it's a CFO thing, because there are risk of businesses which your next competition can come from anywhere. You really don't know. Companies which did not do e-commerce clearly started facing the heat of the guys who started doing better and started losing. So that makes a culture of saying that at the management committee, you should always ask for a question saying what can disrupt us? And if something can disrupt us, why can't we be the disruptor of our own self? I'll give you a classical example, and this is a very good example. I don't know if it's spoken in public or not, but we tried something saying, what will disrupt. We have a part of our business which is on fabric side, right? And which is there, and we believe that I don't know how long will customers continue to buy fabric and get them tailored. I'm sure many of the guys in this room during their wedding would have visited a Raymond store and got a jacket done. But think of it from point of view of e-commerce and behavior, saying how will you sell fabric on e-commerce? Like who will buy fabric just on e-commerce? Why do you find a tailor? And then we started looking at tailors, and we said, okay, if you go from the airport, from here to wherever you live in Bombay, if you were driving that distance, 15 years back, at least you will cross 10 tailoring shops. If you go today, you won't find the tailor shops. But tailors haven't disappeared because we are still selling that fabric. Has that demand gone on, online? And then we started looking at saying how many people are providing online tailoring services? Very limited, right? So we said, why don't we build a skill set and capability of providing tailors on demand? And say Uber of stylist, what it got evolved into, that people will just look for a stylist and we'll go and provide. Clearly, the first year was very difficult for us. And that came from a thought that it's going to disrupt our business. People who are going to our store will stop going to a store because they will start demanding service on online. So clearly, will the store ROI get impacted? And that's the question. But we said, if not us, who will try that? Didn't do phenomenally well. Good or bad, I don't know, COVID impact happened, stores got shut down. Suddenly this picked up because people were having celebrations, they still wanted to get dressed. And we said that people started looking for this service of looking for a stylist to come, because whenever there was a bit of a relaxation post-lockdown with restrictions, people were not very comfortable going to the stores, crowded stores and all. They started ordering stylists at home. And believe you me, I mean, it went to an extent that, a lot of people coming back from US and all, grooms, they would actually book an appointment and tell that we are over here, but we have only so much days before we come in. And clearly this became a very big differentiator for us. So ROI may not have happened when we thought, but ROI happened later. Classical example right now, which we are saying, and this is a this year conversation from my AOP, was what will disrupt us. We said, we don't know what's happening. If you look at all the global brands in fashion space, everybody has gone and done something on Metaverse and NFT. Why are we not doing it? And then we said, okay, what's the use case in India? Because, somebody going and buying something in decentral land, building up a showroom there, and then, somebody going up there. And we said, we don't know what's the use case, right? One of the CXOs, and we just said that, okay, let's start building few of our top designs for the next seasons on Metaverse, and we're just sending it out amongst our management committee group. The guy came next day in a MC meeting, and he said, guys, I want to tell you one big revelation which I found at home. I was looking at these jackets which were very fancy and designed from a Metaverse point of view, and my son plays some game on Roblox. And he asked me, say, Dad, I want to wear this, I think it was Parks jacket. He said, Dad, I want this Parks jacket. And his father was like, you want this Parks jacket? You've never asked me to go, specific on this. What about this? He said, no, I don't want to go to your store and buy. I want to buy this because the game that I play, I want that my player to wear it. And that clicked us saying that, how are generations thinking? If maybe we invest on doing this today, we don't know, are we building our customers for the future? And that's an ROI we can't quantify.
No, I agree. We possibly the generation gap thing has really caught up. And to your point, I had a similar experience. I was getting educated a couple of months ago on Metaverse. When I say educated, means practically what it means in terms of practical implementations. So the guy who was educating me told that Roblox is one of the top 5 metaverses. I said, my daughter plays it all the time, so she's already a metaverse. And I then remember, sometimes on her birthday, for gifts, she wants Robux, which is a currency that you can use in Roblox metaverse to buy houses or different stuff. So and these are the kids after 10 years who are going to be our customers. This young generation, they will have money and they would want to spend on these digital assets powered by NFTs. So okay, so starting from that side, I would want to ask you one investment in digital technologies that you're doing, whether it's a shiny ball object or it is backed by ROI, from a 3 years perspective, from an immediate future that you believe, because we have not done something in COVID and we have now learned some lessons, now let us do something futuristic. I'm sure these conversations are happening in boardroom, and thanks to COVID, these, budgets are easier to get now. So one investment in technology that you're doing from a futuristic perspective. We'll go in that order, starting from Deepali.
So we all want to catch the technology wave that is running on, whether it's metaverse, AR, VR, or anything. But at the same time, we need to understand we need to define our digital roadmap, where we stand in terms of digital transformation as a brand, as an organization. So if we need to start, we need to understand what our systems are, what our dependencies are, what our ecosystems are, and accordingly define the roadmap and then start thinking on where we need to invest on. If I have to think of in terms of digital, it's more currently where we are placed. It will be more towards AR and VR solutions, because shoppers are buying online, but at the same time, they want the same experience which they experience in store. want to try the outfits online. So it will be more towards that area and hyper-personalization, like Ashish said, that the offers, the product range which we are showing to the consumers, it should be very targeted. They should feel that they have their personal space, the products are specific to their products, their choices, their recommendation, what they want to see, and not just a scroll of unlimited products or category ranges that brand has to offer, or personalized offers for that particular product which they are interested in. So it's hyper-personalization and AR/VR solutions to have the same experience, whether it's in store or online.
Okay, great, Sanjay. How about you?
So I think we have been talking a lot on the digital and only digital probably, right? And suddenly, I get dumbfounded with the question whether the physical retail is going to be dead. Probably not. But what is certain is that the boring retail is definitely going to be dead, right? How to reinvent the retail in a way that, it is still relevant, it is still catering to your customers, it is still catering to your TG. And the whole set of technologies, I think we have been talking about, as old as, e-commerce and, as advanced as, talking about the blockchains and then the metaverse, right? So what is relevant and what is that, we give it to your customers so that not only it gives you edge for moving into the tomorrow, but we had talked about, what it means to CFO, right? What is the ROI or what is the immediate or the future benefits it gives. So I think there is a whole set of it, but what I think is, the whole set of technology, we talked about personalization, and I think it is getting, more and more important in today's term. Nobody wants to be acknowledged as nobody, right? I want to be acknowledged as Sanjay, and probably Ashish would be willing to be acknowledged as Ashish. He would be acknowledged with what his choices, preferences are. And whoever knows it, if Mark and Spencer knows his preferences and choices, probably he would go there. And if Jack and Jones is giving him probably the better insight about his choices, he would probably visit Jack and Jones store. So create a whole ecosystem where we recognize your customer and then give them the platform, right? And platforms are, you said that Roblox, people are at live streaming, they are on the Insta, they are there everywhere, right? So create an ecosystem where the live commerce, the social commerce, the Insta commerce, the Facebook commerce, the WhatsApp commerce. I think you bring in the technology, right, which enables you to serve your customer at any platform wherever they are. I will not name a technology, but then create an ecosystem of technology, right? Reinvent the store, because as I said, store is just a place now where customer visits. But if you look at the statistics as of now, at least in fashion, 70% of the store sales, what is happening now, they have some or other digital touch point. Not that someone has walked in straight to the store and bought something without touching your products on your site, on the partner site, right? So the whole ecosystem of digital, becomes very, very relevant, and how to create, how to manage, and at the same time, how to convince CXOs that, the whole ecosystem is going to give you the right to ROI. I think that's what I would like to sum up.
Yeah, fair enough. Ashish?
So short term, definitely, whatever we invested in terms of building data-driven interventions across our marketing, customer insights, sales side, service side, I think I want really to see that come live for customer, because the personalization which we all are speaking about, I think from a considerable time industry is speaking about this. So that should come actually to life. In future, I think this social commerce piece, because the social piece of the shopping experience is still missing in the entire customer experience and buying process for digital customer. I think that is something which is still a missing piece. So maybe in another 5 years, if that works like wonder, probably we will see more digital adoption, more digital commerce, more connected commerce. So I think that is something which I really want to invest in.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. two answers to your two questions. The first one you talked about was how to make sure you continue ensuring the other CXOs, CFOs, and CEOs are in line. I think you touched on that as well. Here's what I do. I think it's about our responsibility from a CXO team standpoint, as the chief digital officers, chief technology officers, to keep educating everybody else about the importance of digital. And they wouldn't know. CFO wouldn't know why digital and experimentation is so important. They would know because they are reading news, obviously, but I think chief digital officer's job is also become a chief evangelist officer. They really have to evangelize digital across the organization to help understand the board of directors as well as the CXO team, the benefits and the value of experimentation, of digital as a journey. Digital is not a destination. Digital is a journey. Today or yesterday it may have been e-commerce. Now that everybody's got e-commerce platform, today it's about having omni-channel experience with customer personalization and customer segmentation of one. Tomorrow it could be a lot more mass scale AI use cases. That's all coming back from digital only. Day after tomorrow it could be moving into a lot more use cases from metaverse standpoint. So all those are journeys starting from digital. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And we have to keep educating our peers in the CXO team the value and the benefits of doing digital. That's number one. Question number two is, what would I do to invest? I think that mindset is one of the key things I do. I make sure that digital mindset is put in place for the organizations, because the biggest challenge when I'm implementing digital does not come from technology. Technology I can manage. I think we all can manage technology pretty easily. The challenge comes from other parts of the company where people don't really see the value of doing those things. Or even in many times technology departments itself, there are challenges coming in that, okay, people are not completely coming on board with some of those initiatives. So I think that legacy mindset has to be moved, the people transformation. So digital transformation is all about not just technology, but also people and process transformation, right? So that is a lot more difficult, I would say, and an important aspect of our jobs than just doing the technology piece of things. Ecosystems, I really appreciate the ecosystem discussion, because I think I strongly believe in that as well. If you want to invest in the ecosystem. AR, VR is the immediate on the horizon that we are expected from a consumer standpoint, Sandeep, and I think that along with some of the new technologies that are coming in, we should be focusing on those from experimentation standpoint as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so quickly on that, like I said, I think we are taking a big transformation journey at Raymond, and there's something called what we've fixed as most of the companies as a definitive plan, what we want to do in next 12 to 18 months. And then there's something called a long range plan, what we want to do in 3 to 5 years. And that's a sign up we all do as a part of the management committee and goes and report it to the board. So what we are doing right now, and our biggest focus and investment which is going, is actually understanding customer data a lot more, whether it's in terms of they're doing online, across all of them, or what they're in store. And that's the evolution we are doing in terms of moving away from, or upgrading our CRM from a current way of knowing customers to a CDP platform. Now that enables me to know consumer behavior outside my environment. Clearly cookie data we all know is end of life next year, and how do we probably use big company today launching something on tags. How do you do that? Know your consumer better and get to hyper-personalization score better for your customers. So clearly a short term for this year is primarily to make sure that how do you know your customers better. This requires investments into a vision AI technology to make sure that the CCTV feeds of the camera are no longer just a standard CCTV feeds. What are you converting that as some kind of a data and running some algorithms onto it and study that better. In terms of a long-term plan, and this I'm talking about, say, what do we want to see ourselves in 3 years from now? Clearly, we have a very, very strong foundation of saying that to enable a very strong front end with digital evolved, you have to have a strong back end. And we have defined, so practically everything, everybody will say will move to the cloud, that's given, right? But what we are doing is that you divide the whole thing into 2 pieces. You set up the enterprise core and you set up the digital core. The job of the enterprise core is to enable digitization at the back end in your enterprise to make sure that your supply chain and agility in that chain to probably service the digital core to service the consumer. Just to give you a perspective, if you go on, say, our website right now, myraymond.com, and you go to a section of made to order, you can go and customize the denim the way you want. Now, it's very, very difficult to make a individual denim on a machine if it goes to the factory right now. So you really have to work something on the enterprise core to enable this functionality, and that's what we are focusing on. So clearly there's work on the back end which improves parameters, full price sell-throughs, OTIFs, all of it, but all of them will relate to how consumer delight and consumer experience. One of the other goals that we take, and this is like, while we all say, I mean, technology, all of us will talk, but when I say talk to a chief business officer and talk to a chief finance officer, the point that we end up taking is saying that what do we, one vague metrics we want to take, and we keep trying. So this year, for example, we are piloting in one of our stores to say how many Instagram reels get made in that store. How do we make that store as a destination for us to go and make reels? How do you create that experience? We don't know. We are trying multiple things, but that's an engagement we want a customer walking in to say, boss, wow, I loved this experience. Let me shoot something and post it. Now, some of these things will require understanding customer more, and that's where the technology takes the backseat, and that's what we are investing. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. I think the one common thing which is coming across all of initiatives that you guys are taking is the personalization, data-driven personalization, and of course, educating the larger CXOs in the group to understand the investments, the timing of the investments, and the value it may derive, starting with the soft ROI and getting to the hard ROI. And when I talk about personalization, an example came to my mind because personalizations can be scary. So one example very quickly, it's on a case study on the Google as well. So it's a Domino's Australia case study. They studied so much personalization on a customer that they had a negative delivery time. So what does that mean? That customer hadn't ordered yet. He was on the payment page and the pizza was on his door. So they predicted that, moment the guy logged in, what is going to order and what is going to be his payment mode and all those things. And they actually made the pizza in that way and they were ready to serve him before he made the payment. So that can get quite scary. I mean, this is the other extreme they went to. So I'll wrap up. We are out of time. So thank you, everyone. I'll just take 2 quick questions.
Hi, this is Amol from Dragonfruit AI. Lot of interesting discussion about personalization, and today the way to personalize something usually is at the end of the transaction when someone goes, they have to give their phone number. It's a lagging kind of input. The holy grail of personalization would be, I'm sure you've thought of this, face recognition. What are your thoughts? Because that's a super controversial topic. Is that something you're thinking of? Is that something you've thought of? And if you're not going to do it, why not? Apart from the obvious privacy reasons, of course.
So I can answer that because this year we probably are going and digitizing the feeds from our stores. And one of the use case that we identified is that if you can identify the CCTV camera of the feed of a guy who's standing at a checkout counter and he's feeding in his number or details of the billing, for the next visit, I exactly know that this is the person which is over there. But that's where the PI guidelines comes in very clearly, right? I am not supposed to identify somebody through a facial recognition and use that for promotion. However, and this is something that we are still debating and probably checking, but clearly in a closed user group, which is moving right now, our view is, as now as it's shaping up, that as long as you can get a consent from a customer for promotion to the customer when he's inside the store, not even outside the store, when he's inside your store again, if he allows you to give him offer by knowing that we will recognize you from the CCTV cameras which are in the store, we believe it's a workable solution, because clearly for listed companies to give this kind of confirmations and this kind of services, it's very, very important from an audit point of view. And we are actually working with our auditor as well to make sure that the PI guidelines are not infringed. But just to give you a perspective on this, the technology is phenomenal. And I'll just give you an example. When we were piloting this and we just said, okay, we'll take these 5 guys and we say the technology, we were able to identify 4 of them very clearly the next time they visit. If my ability to understand that when Ravi walks into the store again, and he's likely to behave like this, not only because of my past purchasing behavior, but because I'm also understanding Ravi from his behavior of what I do to send him or engage with him using the CDP platform. This is what Ravi is likely to do today. And when I give him an offer on that, and it can be a personalized offer to what he wants to buy, it can be a personalized offer to his buying behavior of payment mechanism, amount of money he wants to spend, or anything else, just a delight. I think the whole experience is very phenomenal because clearly it's a delight of 5 out of 5 every time somebody does. But yes, as a responsible this thing, the PI guidelines have to be clearly, I mean, it's still a very, very, I would say a gray line in India. But for listed large organizations, all my co-panelists on this stage, it's a very, very sensitive topic and you need to be very, very sure before you do it with an explicit consent from the customer within the store, this thing. That's my take on this and it's evolving.
I think time is like less. So, but you see, this is the biggest advantage in digital commerce. The customer actually, the moment enters on website, you can actually do these sort of activities. And even you see some of the companies like Lenskart, customers allow them to actually do a lot of AR related things so that they can buy a lens. So here the advantage of digital commerce comes over physical commerce. So that's one way.
See, one thing that is just my prediction, right? We all established from this that for large corporations, the security policies and privacy is a very important topic. Now that's true, and it's not going to get easier. Yesterday it was GDPR, PCI, DSS, and all those guidelines are going to get more and more stringent because I think consumer privacy is going to become a more important subject. How do corporations solve that, right? That's a big question. Because I want to be able to have a seamless experience across channels. Now digital has that advantage that we just talked about. How do I make sure physically I walk in the store and the CCTV cameras can recognize me? What if we in future have an opportunity that companies would come to you and say, hey, I like to be able to buy your data. You have the privacy right, but I'll pay you for it. Can I use your data? I'll pay you $100 a month or $100 a year, whatever the right amount is. And in that exchange, I want to be able to give you personalized information. Won't use too much sensitive information, but I want to be able to use you as a person for my data analysis because without data, companies can't do anything, right? Personalization won't go anywhere. So I think that's where we might be moving towards in future, where we start doing a lot of paid consumer engagement in terms of data capture and then be able to do personalization for them with CCTV or with AR, VR, or metaverse and digital domain. Does that answer the question for you?
Hello. So we are out of time, and you can catch up with the panelists off the stage. We have one gift for the best question. So there's only one question. So please.
Come, please come up. Sometimes it has to be a one-horse race because of time. So.
I'm Amol Kulkarni from Dragonfruit AI.
Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with that, any closing remarks?
No, I just want to thank all the panelists for wonderful remarks, and we had a good discussion. And I'm sure this debate will continue, soft ROI versus hard ROI, but I'm sure we are much better educated. COVID has taught us some good lessons, and digital is here to stay. The future will be shaped by digital. How much and when to invest is our call, and how much we are able to convince. But this coaching to fellow, CXOs and the boardrooms needs to continue because these investments don't go waste for sure. You may realize the ROI a little later, but you will get there. So that's all, and that's all. Over to you, Hugo.